Judge Sierra Jones presiding. Please be seated.
Mr. Brown, can you approach? All right. So now where are you here?
I'm here for Mr. Bunker. That would be page 22.
Let's go to page 22. Steve, 390495, State of Nevada versus Jackson Bunker. Make the record reflect that Mr. Bunker is present in custody. Present, you open me an interpreter?
We only have 2 speakers out of 6.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, she had an interpreter during trial.
Please make sure your phones are off.
He just stepped out to get up and follow on the phone. He was coming up
I'll be right back, Mr. Drasko.
That's where grab my water.
Ms. Michaels.
All right. Let's go on the record and see. 377239, State of Nevada versus Devyn Michaels. May the record reflect that Ms. Michaels is present in custody. Mr. Draskovich and Mr. Horvath are here on her behalf. Mr. Giordani and Ms. Griffith are here on behalf of the state. This is the date and time set for sentencing. Are both parties prepared to go forward?
We are.
All right, just a couple of housekeeping matters. State, the victim's mother sent a very long, detailed list of money she's out of, but I don't have any documentation
I did
to
not
support.
receive that either.
Okay, so I'm going to award the $5,000 of restitution to victims of crime, but that'll be the only restitution because there was actually proof of that.
Understood.
Any objection from the defense to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and we did have a discussion about credit, and we have the credit at 780 days. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. State, you also noticed victim speakers. How many speakers do you have?
2.
And pursuant to statute, would you like them to speak last?
Please.
All right. State, since this is the result of a jury trial, you have retained the right to argue.
Yes, Judge, and you've been doing this as long as I have, if not longer. There's a couple of different types of defendants that come before you and that I've dealt with in my career. And there are those that don't function in society. They commit multiple crimes over and over. And then there are those like this defendant who functioned relatively normally for an extended period of time, but committed such an extreme act of evil when she did commit a crime that you have to put her on the far end of the spectrum of evil, Judge. I understand that her lack of criminal history is something that you're going to take into consideration when you determine whether she gets life without her or not. I really just have a question for the court, and I'm not going to try to provide an answer. And the question is this, is a person who is capable of such extreme evil, is that person someone that we want to walk our streets, whether it's 20 years from now, 28 years from now, or not? And you're You're in the robe, you're on the bench, you get to make that decision today. I would just urge you to think about what it must have taken for her to do what she did. Not everyone is capable of that extreme amount of violence. Not everyone, not even some of our worst offenders go that far. There was some statements made at our last sentencing that I would ask you to take it in context with the evidence you heard at the trial. There is absolutely overwhelming evidence of her guilt, and obviously we have a jury verdict at this point. So all that nonsense that was spewed at the last hearing, I think that has been disproven during the course of the trial, and as evidenced by the very quick verdict that was delivered in this case. If you'll recall, it was just a couple of hours on the same day of closing arguments. With that said, Judge, I will submit it to your discretion. Just defer to the victim's speakers.
Okay. Ms. Michaels, what, if anything, would you like to say before I pronounce sentence against you?
At this point, I just feel that anything I say, it won't. The family's looking for certain things, and I cannot deliver what the family's looking for. And they're here, and I just want them to get their, at least part of their anger out. I know no matter what I say, they're still going to feel the same way. So just let them have their time, and that's all I can say.
Thank you. Devyn?
Your Honor, I like to state I'm going to be somewhat brief. This was the result of a 2-week jury trial. I do appreciate Ms. Michaels' statements and even the lack of her statements. This case has had a bit of a wild ride to get where we are before Your Honor today. You know, the jury, and we all spoke to the jury afterwards, looked at basically one thing, and that was her statement to the police on August 15th. And she has made several statements leading up to this point, and today she's chosen to just basically let the record speak for itself, and then the history of this case speak for itself. You know, Your Honor is in a very unique position, being basically a murder trial judge. The thing that I would like the court to take into consideration is the issue of proportionality. You know, you hear on a regular basis cases that involve years, if not decades, of criminal conduct. People that have substantial criminal histories. People that have committed crimes over and over and over again. Ms. Michaels has a gross misdemeanor conviction that was close in time to this case, relatively speaking. She, outside of the events that gave rise to this case, she's lived a very good life, and I think the court should take that into consideration in reference to this issue of proportionality and treating similar defendants similarly and different defendants differently. I mean, when we look at the object or the goals behind sentencing, we have deterrence, you know, we have incapacitation, we have rehabilitation, and then we get to this issue of retribution. And you know, the flip side of retribution is redemption. You have a woman that stands before you today who's 47 years old. She turns 48 in April. You've got a woman that was a devoted mother. She had a career. Obviously, what occurred is not going to bring Mr. Willette back. Miss Michaels' case, if we take the version of events that the state presented, we have here, you know, you talk about stabbings and crimes of passion and things like that. You know, in this case, we don't have someone that's been charged with lying in wait, planning. We don't have a case where we have a life insurance policy that was viewed. You know, we don't have this And when we talk about evil, I mean, that's kind of a slippery word sometimes. But at worst, what we have here is a conviction based on impulse and then perhaps bad actions that occurred following that. I mean, Your Honor spoke with the jury, we heard the testimony. We had this, and she was charged murder with use. And if we take the evidence in the light most favorable to the state, we have something where there have been unwanted sexual advances. There was a candlestick or perhaps a poker that was then used to strike Mr. Willette. And I'm using his name. I mean, the decedent, you know, I don't want to minimize, he was a person, obviously, as is Miss Michaels. We have, again, we have an appeal that's going to follow, but nonetheless, if we take the version of events that the state would have the court take into consideration, we have an act that was based on impulsiveness and then bad, impulsive decisions that very well may have followed. You know, Your Honor, and one case comes to mind, I believe it's the Randolph Thomas case. We have a case where there's multiple former spouses, multiple acts. In this case, we have a single act. You know, we don't have this course of conduct that encompassed days, years, or in that case, decades. We have a single act that's now before Your Honor. You know, the very minimum sentence per statute that Ms. Michaels could receive is a 21-year sentence. We're talking 60 years old. And Your Honor knows the studies. I mean, like I said, you're in a very unique position based upon your experience and the depth, not only off the bench prior to your having assumed the bench, but as a murder trial judge. This is a case where the court should look at redemption. She can contribute to the community. She's had no issues whatsoever while incarcerated. In the beginning of this hearing, Your Honor addressed the credit for time served. She's been in for some time. I would urge the court to view, you know, to look at the facts and circumstances and the very difficult decision Your Honor has to make with the idea of redemption in mind. I would urge the court to give her, as far as the murder charge, the chance at redemption, the chance to be perhaps one day reincorporated into society. I would urge the court to give her a sentence of 20 with the possibility of parole, and then the minimum sentence for the with use in enhancement. I would submit that this idea of proportionality and true equity and fairness would be served by such a sentence. And that's what we request, and on that I submit it, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. State your first speaker.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please state your full name, spelling your first and last name for the record.
Valeria Willette, VALERIA
And ma'am, what would you like to say to me today?
First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak out. It's been a while, and I'm very thankful. And whatever I'm going to read is what I lived for almost 3 years.
Okay.
Excuse me. The brutal murder that took place on August 7th, 2023 has forever changed my life, my husband's, and my children's life. I am still in shock and traumatized because of this unbelievable act from someone who is selfish and heartless. About a week after Johnathan's murder, we came across a huge responsibility of taking in 2 young girls who we didn't know, and due to the circumstances, we couldn't say no when all others say they couldn't. My life has changed since the notification of my stepson's death. with us taking in 2 girls with us taking 2 girls in our home and getting to know them and not knowing of all the trauma they previously had. After the murder, even more trauma was added. It has been a tough 2.5 years for all my family. Grieving has been hard at home, since there were times when I needed to break down and cry, but I couldn't because we had 2 girls who depended on our strength. Along came caseworkers, CASA, Boys Towns, and CAP attorneys who visit our homes several times a month. This doesn't include the process of getting fingerprinted, classes to be able to assist the girls while with us, and therapy for them and myself, husband on a weekly basis. The girls did not have discipline, boundaries, basic cleanliness, social skills, and proper hygiene. The clothing they brought from Child Haven was unfit for anything except playtime. I contacted their stepfather/brother, Davier, to see if we could pick up more clothing, and those were not much better. We ended up spending a lot so they could look presentable when in school and out in the community with us. We also have to deal with Casey, our daughter, who was in senior year and fell into depression, making it hard for her to be in school and caused a lot of absences. It was a huge change in her life, having to deal with 2 young girls with so much trauma, and Casey graduated in June of 2024. It has been very hard on us since no other relative has assisted us in caring for the girls, only my immediate family members, which are my adult children. We have now built a relationship with Aunt Kayla, the killer's sister. She stopped by while she was in Las Vegas on business, and we had a great conversation, and she departed as a supportive aunt. Because of this meeting, the girls have changed their minds of what kind of person she is. We will continue to nurture this relationship with Aunt Kayla and the girls. Through Johnathan, we have gained a true friend who has supported us, especially me. We grieve together, and Bernadette has also lost a best friend. We talk, cry, and express our sorrows about how a person was taken away so brutally. We cannot bring Johnathan back. God has gained an angel in heaven. We believe he is watching over us and the girls. I ask today for justice for our family, especially the girls, because we have been sentenced for life with this tragedy. This will follow them for the rest of their life. We've created a time capsule for them in therapy where they can place notes or items that they can open in the future to remember their journey. We will never again hear his voice, his laughter, or see his expression. Johnathan doesn't have a second chance. His life has been taken, never to return to us. The girls have been left without a dad, stepfather/brother who doesn't make contact with them, and a mother who's in jail. After my marriage of 14 years, I have come to know Johnathan. Although we didn't have a close relationship with him, I miss his jokes, laughter, and him being funny. He would come around on holidays and enjoy our time spent with him. Thank you for allowing me to speak about the situation, and I am seeking the hardest penalty in this case. The killer that ended Johnathan's life needs to be put away forever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you for being here today.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your full name, spelling your first and last name for the record.
James Willette, JamesWillette.
And sir, what would you like to say to me today?
I have a prepared statement
Okay.
that I would like to have you listen to.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
May I have a seat?
Sure.
Your Honor, I must apologize as I'm uncertain of the appropriate name to use. Tracy Reed, Tracy Tavares, Tracy Baker, Devyn Michaels, Nikki Fairchild. But for clarity in this context, I will refer to her as the killer and murderer of my son Johnathan. This horrendous murder crime has affected her two precious children, myself, my wife and my children in the household, my wife's mother, my wife's brother and sisters and their families, my ex-wife and her boyfriend, my remaining son, my grandson who married her, his mother and family, her parents along with her sister's family, and anyone who knows us or were friends with Johnathan. We have all been given a life sentence by a woman who doesn't respect life. She has removed from our lives my son, her daughter's father, her daughter's stepbrother, and all related individuals that were just mentioned. The enduring loss of opportunities to communicate with Johnathan, witness his achievements, and provide guidance is permanent. This absence is not limited to life without parole. It is not replaceable. Each day serves as a reminder of this lasting impact which will persist indefinitely. Regardless of the duration of her sentence, we continue to experience an ongoing sense of loss that will endure throughout our lifetimes. Our circumstances remain unchanged, and correspondingly, there should be no alteration to hers. As we grapple with the magnitude of what has been lost, we find ourselves thrust into unfamiliar roles and responsibilities, forced to adapt and preserve in the face of relentless adversity. The routines we once knew have vanished, replaced by an ongoing quest to provide love, safety, and guidance for young lives so suddenly uprooted. Our whole household has become a place of both deep sorrow and determined resilience as we navigate the labyrinth of legal proceedings, therapy appointments, and daily challenges that arise from the tragedy of this scale. The weight of grief is compounded by the necessity to advocate fiercely for our grandchildren, ensuring their emotional and physical needs are met, even as we contend with our own sense of devastation. Despite the overwhelming nature of these circumstances, we are steadfast in our pursuit of healing and justice, propelled by a profound sense of duty to honor Johnathan's memory and to safeguard the well-being of those he cherished most. The tragic passing of my son, Johnathan, has had a profound impact on many individuals, including his two beloved children, his mother, our family, all relatives, the killer's parents and sister, as well as friends and acquaintances of his. We have all received an extreme life sentence, not a 15-year to life term. We have no parole. We just the knowledge and the heartbreak of his loss. Life has taken away my son, her daughter's father, her daughter's stepbrother, who is also her husband, and all others mentioned. The opportunity to communicate with my son, appreciate his life, witness his achievements, and provide support through advice is permanently lost. Every day we are reminded of this irreversible consequence. Nothing will change in 15 years, 20 years, or even our lives. Regardless of any duration served by the killer, Johnathan will not be returned to us. His actions are permanently ceased, and his voice will remain silenced forever. We are enduring a lifelong impact until the end of our days. This situation remains unchanged for us and thus should remain equally unaltered for the killer. We are consistently reminded of the serious impact of the killer's action on her life. Each day, the killer's daughters wake up to the reality that their father is no longer part of their lives, preventing them from sharing any experiences or creating memories with him. They experience significant long-term effects due to growing up without parental support, relying on grandparents, relatives, and others for assistance during a limited period before achieving independence. We are optimistic that they will understand they are not responsible for these circumstances and their future choices will help them avoid entering this system. Despite this, they will carry the burden of their mother's actions, knowing she has effectively removed both parents from their lives. These events have left 2 young lives facing significant challenges in their futures following the loss of their father due to her mother's actions. The recent events have been particularly traumatic for our family, especially for the children. My wife and I have attended classes to assist in raising our granddaughters and addressing their trauma. We are supported by caseworkers, CAP attorney, CASA worker, Boys Town worker, therapists, special school classes, coaches, and the daily challenges resulting from the loss of both parents. This situation has impacted everyone involved. We have observed changes in attitudes of our relatives and friends due to this event. Both my wife and I have consulted a therapist for support, which has been beneficial, though the issue remains prominent in our lives every day. We have attended numerous court dates related to both the murder trial and the cases involving the child abuse and termination of parental rights. The significant time spent traveling, communicating with district attorneys, and enduring the anticipation of trial outcomes has severely impacted our mental health and well-being. Such experiences are immensely challenging, particularly when one child is tragically taken by murder, as Johnathan has. As a retiree, I anticipated enjoying my golden years, but now my wife and I find ourselves responsible for raising preteens once again. It is essential to emphasize that while we deeply care for the girls and are concerned about their future, proper medical care and dedicated personnel can help ensure they lead normal lives. We are making notable progress with Janaea, who is determined to improve her life and situation. Despite holding 3 licenses, foster kinship, relative foster home advanced foster care, and professional caregiver pre-service training, we continue to enhance our understanding of the trauma experienced by our granddaughters. These children have never experienced loving discipline nor had real interaction with others, as they were homeschooled rather than attending school. Consequently, there is a significant lack of etiquette in social environments and personal interactions with peers and friends. This is especially difficult for us in a family setting or gatherings on special occasions. Throughout this difficult and painful experience, our resilience has been tested beyond measure as we navigate the complexities of the judicial system and endeavor to provide a stable environment for our granddaughters amid relentless adversity. The emotional and practical burdens we bear have transformed our daily existence, challenging us to find strength in one another and in support systems available to us. Despite the constant reminders of the loss and the enduring pain etched in every aspect of our lives, we strive to foster hope for the future of our grandchildren, advocating for their safety, well-being, and justice in the wake of such irreparable harm. We have faced countless obstacles in our efforts to piece together a sense of normalcy, persistently navigating bureaucratic hurdles and emotional turmoil while every aspect of our daily existence has been altered. Every future plan reshaped by consequences of a single unforgivable act. The weight of responsibility continues to rest heavily upon us as we advocate for justice and stability, not only for our own heart, but for most importantly, for Johnathan's children whose futures have been so deeply scarred. We are requesting, per Marcy's law, the Senate Joint Resolution SJR Section 1, letter G, to reasonably notice of all public proceedings, including delinquency proceedings, upon request at which the defendant and the prosecutor are entitled to be present, and all parole or other post-conviction release proceedings, and to be present for all of these proceedings. Section N, to be informed of all post-conviction proceedings, to participate and provide information to the parole authority, to be considered before the parole of the offender, and to be notified upon request of the parole or other release of the offender. Section P, to have all monetary payments, money, and property collected from any person who has been ordered to make restitution to be first applied to payment to pay the amounts ordered as a restitution of the victim. As we move forward, it remains imperative that the lifelong consequences endured by our family, and especially our grandchildren, who will endure this crime for many years, are gone, are met with unwavering commitment to accountability and truth. The emotional scars, the logistic obstacles, and the persistent sense of emptiness cannot be erased. But through steadfast support and continued vigilance, we hope to honor Johnathan's memory and instill a sense of security and justice for his daughters. We deeply care for our grandchildren and find it challenging to come to terms with the actions taken by their mother, both regarding our lives and more significantly those of her children. The impact of this trauma may have lasting life on them. For instance, there is uncertainty who will accompany them during important events such as walking them down the aisle, at their weddings, graduations, birthdays, etc. There are moments in life when one must pause to reflect on one's circumstances. We examine all the known facts and attempt to understand them. The court hearings related to both the termination of parental rights and the criminal case. This planned and calculated murder, and remind it was planned and calculated, is not justified in any way or manner, and the killer needs to be incarcerated for the rest of her life. We respectfully request that the maximum penalty behind bars without parole be imposed for this heinous crime. We consider the act of killing and decapitating the father of the killer's children and husband to be egregious and extremely severe, and should be met with extremely severe punishment. We trust in the wisdom of the court to recognize the full impact of these actions on all parties involved, and to deliver a resolution that both acknowledges the depth of our loss and upholds the principles of justice upon which our faith now rests. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to share my perspective on this criminal murder. I now defer to your judgment on this murder case.
Thank you, sir, and thank you very much for being here today. Well, I think when Mr. Draskowitz said it's been quite a roller coaster that got everybody here, I think that's quite an understatement as to how we got here. But I did preside over this trial for 2 weeks, and I was able to hear all the evidence that was presented by the state, as well as I was the judge when this case was originally negotiated at a settlement conference, and then Ms. Michaels wanted to withdraw that plea and proceed to trial. And the jury has ruled, and we all have to respect the decision of the jury. But I have to say, and I think Mr. Willette said it best, and as well as so did his wife, because one of the biggest concerns that I think we should all have as we deal with this is the fact that these children are going to be left without either one of their parents. And it's not any fault of theirs, it's not anything that they played a part in, but as well as everything that they had endured up to this point. And now, Ms. Michaels, based on your actions, they are going to be left without either one of their parents. Pursuant to the jury's verdict, you're going to be adjudicated guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. In addition to the $25 administrative assessment fee, your DNA was taken in 2022, so it's waived. The $3 DNA assessment fee, you're going to be ordered to pay $5,000 in restitution to victims of crime. You're going to be sentenced to 240 months to life in the Nevada Department of Corrections. There's going to be a consecutive 96 to 240 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections for the deadly weapon enhancement, and as of today, you have 780 days credit for time served.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Draskowitz, your office will be allowed to withdraw at this point. Mr. Brown, we are going to appoint you as appellate counsel so that you can file the notice of appeal. Yes, if you could put it. Thank you, guys.